Welcome to Burning Metal episode, Shooting the Breeze episode 4. In this episode, we have Graham Keane of the Vicious Head Society. How's it going, man?
Good, yourself?
Not too bad. Good to have you on and finally talk to you in person after many years talking online, you know.
That's right.
I was one of the original Vicious Head Society fans when the Abject Tomorrow track got dropped back in the day. That was 2013?
Yeah, I think it's 6 years ago or something like that. That's what YouTube tells me anyway.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you to the month, so it could be over like 6 months and 6 years and 10 months or something like that.
Yeah,
but then,
all right. Jesus, yeah, it's come a long way.
The album was supposed to follow that a few weeks after, but as fate would have it, it wasn't to be, you know.
It's come a long way since you just dropped that one track.
You're frozen, I think.
Yeah, it was a good marker to set because it really caught on that track like at the time. In typical Zoom fashion, with a bit of a technical issue there, but that's where pause comes in handy. But I was just saying that Abject Tomorrow, the track it was a good marker to set up from, wasn't it?
I think so. I mean, I had no idea when I put out that song that people would like it or anything like that. You know, I mean, I was just doing it for myself. I got, you know, I did put a bit of money behind it. To be fair, I mean, hiring Kevin Talley didn't come easy or cheap. And then I got a friend of mine to do a video for it because I had no idea how to do anything related to video at that time. And I paid him in guitar lessons. So he got quite a few months of guitar lessons for that video, let me tell you. And of course, you know, I paid for the production of it and all that kind of stuff, mixing and mastering. And then I just put it out there and people started telling me, geez, this is a really good song. And I was going, oh, okay. You know, I didn't know. It was a hobbyist kind of thing. Now, the album was completely written at that time as well. You know, the whole thing was done really. And the plan was to kind of release a couple of tunes and then have the whole album, just like any album really, come out. But I had no idea how to release something at the time. I didn't know about such things as PR campaigns or, you know, release schedules or any such thing like that. So I just literally just put the song out and hope for the best. And luckily, a few heads kind of liked it anyway. So, you know, it kind of led to where we are now.
Yeah, it's come a long way. Like, you know, it was quite a few years as well between that track and the album. Like, it was like 3 years between the album release and the first single. Would that be right?
I think that's right, yeah. What happened there was Nathan was supposed to do the whole album. But, I mean, I can't remember exactly why, but there was something happened in his life and he had to move out. He moved over to LA and he was between there. He moved to Colorado a couple of times. So he was kind of back and forward and wasn't really in a stable situation where he could record, you know, at any given time. Mm-hmm. So it just sort of moved on from there. And then I got in touch with the other singer, and it took him quite a while to get the tracks done. And it took me a while as well. I mean, I didn't have the money at the time. I was saving it as I was going along. You know, I'd do a gig and put aside 50, that kind of thing. So it could take maybe two months at a time to save up to pay for the drums to be done, mm-hmm. or to pay for the singing to be done or whatever. So, you know, that's why it really took so long. And I didn't expect that would happen, but like I said, complete naivety. I had no idea what I was doing. It was just sort of like, yeah, I'll be able to get this done in a few months and it will all be out there. And then, you know, boy, oh boy, did I realize that was completely fucking arseways. And then, you know, like I said, the whole release thing, how do you release an album? How do you get people to listen to your music? I think, I'll just put it up on YouTube and everyone will find it. But, you know, it doesn't work that way. And even back then, it didn't work that way when Facebook wasn't as restrictive, you know. But, you know, I was lucky insofar with that song because, like, you know, yourself and a few other pages kind of said, well, there's something about this tune. And people started sharing it. And, you know, it started to get a little kind of a thing going with it. You know, it's kind of a song that when I look back on it now, I think, it's kind of a simple enough song, you know, and I'm sick of hearing it, so I don't really hear it with the same ear as other people do. So I kind of wonder why it even became a thing with people. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's funny that song to me because it's not one of my favorites on that album. But anyway, yeah, it's different for everybody, isn't it?
I don't know. It kind of at the time, to my ears anyway, it didn't really sound like anything else. There was kind of an Opeth vibe to it, but it wasn't like Opeth. It was kind of the harsh and the melodic vocals, but there was just more. It was just depth, and there was valleys and peaks and lows. It was just so many layers to it. It was just, if you had an L in you and you listen to that, you'd and then
Yeah, I mean, I suppose all that kind of stuff that kind of comes from what I'm listening to anyway. I suppose it's a good representation of the sound of what I'm doing on a lot of the songs anyway. You know, that older influence when I was growing up with my brothers being really into prog, and more classic rock kind of stuff, and me as a teenager being into the heavier thing, and I suppose it's a combination of those two worlds of music, where I'm into really extreme stuff on one hand, and then on the other hand I'm into very almost folksy kind of prog stuff, So I'm trying to find. I don't really try. I suppose it just comes out naturally, and I think it's a good balance for me. I don't like to listen to stuff that's heavy all the time. And there's some bands I can listen to maybe 3 songs of, and then I've had enough. I need to have a bit of balance when I listen to music. Like somebody gave me a Chimera album, and they're a brilliant band at what they do. I mean, it's fucking amazing stuff. But I couldn't take more than 3 or 4 songs at a time. It was just, it was too intense for something for me. So, I have the same, I suppose, philosophy when I'm trying to write a song. There's a bit of push and pull there. Some super heavy stuff and then pull it back. It works for me anyway. It's the kind of thing I want to do.
Yeah, the Chimera now, like they were very fucking angry, like, I hate everyone, They're good for a workout or something, or a bit of a run, but there on your own, like, I hate everyone, like, no, it's not 16 anymore, but
but yeah, like phenomenal musicians, great guitar player, great drummers, if that's the kind of sound you're after, there's a few other bands that are like them that are up on that level, but they're gone now. I know they've called it a day, as far as I know anyway.
Oh, they never could keep a stable lineup. I think there was just the first couple albums they were flying it, and after that then they just kind of drifted apart. But I suppose when you're back in those days, when you're on major labels and you've got someone breathing down your neck and just write and do this and do that, at least we've been a solo musician like yourself, you don't have that pressure, you can do what you want at your pace. You don't have someone saying, we want this album out like in X amount of time,
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of it's everyone strives, I think, to get to that higher level, but it does come with its price, I can imagine, can just imagine me working with a label on the last album here, 4 years to get it complete. I'd probably been dropped many times over by now, but then again, it was a cheap album. It was made on a budget of 0.
Yeah, it was a labor of love, really, on your bit. Like, I remember when the album came out, like you were openly very frustrated about the whole internet thing, that you couldn't promote it and no one was paying attention. But as time went on, I think you kind of learned that it's a bit like a pick and mix, you might you're going to put the hand in, it depends on what you pull out sometimes without online, because it depends on the time of the day as well, too. Because personally, say, I could miss complete albums releases completely because I just mightn't be online that particular day. It's like it's a very strange thing, and if you push it too much, everyone just starts unfollowing you. So like it's a weird time, but I think over time, I think your honesty kind of it benefited you because people kind of got behind you more. Like they'd seen that you were a passionate musician and you weren't doing it for money or anything. You were just doing it for the labor of love. And like the signs are there already with Extinction Level event. Like that's been a fucking phenomenal success already for your behalf, hasn't it?
Massively so, yeah. I mean, it's all perspective, at the end of the day. And with the online promotion stuff, that can be a reflection of how I'm feeling about myself more so than online, really.
Mm.
You know, there are times when I put pressure on myself. I think, oh, I should be reaching this many people, and I should be selling this many copies of the album. But that's only, you know, my internal bullshit really coming out, you know, and not to be taken seriously. You know, I can be very mercurial in that regard, where one time I'm very, very happy with what I'm doing, and the next day I hate it.
Mm.
You know, it's just, I just kind of have come to accept that I'm going to be that way sometimes, you know, and it's okay. You know, I work through it. It's my own foibles and my own neurosis kind of coming to the surface, so to speak. But really, you know, I think I found my own way. Like you say, you know, just being honest. You know, I'm transparent with people online. I find certain things hard about it. Like, you know, Andy, when he was making up the press release, you know, we got to put in guitar virtuoso, and I was like, no, don't put that in. I'm not a guitar virtuoso. You know, and he's like, well, people aren't going to read about a guy who says he's okay at guitar. You know, like press releases have to be,
Yeah.
you know, oh, this guy is great, or else people are not going to pay attention. You know, you have to present a kind of a vision of yourself that might not be exactly what you think of yourself, but you know, you're trying to sell what you're doing to people so that they'll click on the link and listen to the music. So, you know, I kind of reluctantly go along with that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But on, you know, the other side of it, I think sharing, you know, the way I am with people is for me, that's the best way to do it.
Mm.
You know, I'm not trying to tell anybody that I'm a rock star or any of that bullshit. I'm a guy who just likes writing music. It's what I do. I just like to write music,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really lucky that people out there actually enjoy it, and even luckier that people out there who enjoy it, you know, are willing to put their hand in their pocket to buy something that I put out into the world. You know, now obviously I wish that there was more of them, you know, but you know, you have to build this thing over a period of time. It's not just, you know, the first album is going to be the really successful, or even the second one, or even the third one. You know, those days have changed, I think, in a huge way. And you know, you hit the nail on the head yourself. You know, the whole game is different for everybody, and you know, there's bands all over this country in their own genres that are doing amazing things that are on par with any band from anywhere.
Mm.
You know, but we haven't yet built. And you know, some of the bands have. You know, there's some bands up there on a very good level, like I think Primordial and Abaddon and Carnet. I'm not sure if they're. I think they're pretty big. I don't really follow a lot of metal, if I'm honest.
Mm.
You know, not that I don't like it, but I'm terrible for listening to other people's music. But like you know, we I suppose it's a slow build, you know, for everyone now. You know, any new band that's going to come out, unless you've got a lot of money behind you to spend on a huge promo campaign, then it's going to be a slow build of, you know, getting 1 or 2 likes here or there, or getting those plays on YouTube. You know, it doesn't come easy, and it's time consuming.
Mm. Yeah, if you're looking for the instant gratification in music now, I think you better get out quick, because you're going to fucking go down a bad road. Like, because even now, like, you can't just come out
Absolutely.
with a demo. You have to have a fucking top a music video. You have to have grade A production. You know, you've literally got one chance to make an impression now. You know, it's always the old saying, you've got one chance to make an impression, but it's never been more real than now, because everyone is just scrolling, and unless you hit what they want to hit, good luck. But
That's it in a nutshell, and I mean that describes it really.
Yeah, it's a when in regards to music, you were playing in wedding bands and function bands and whatnot, and was that basically what brought the Vicious Head Society to life? That you, even though you enjoyed playing music and you were earning money at doing it, which was the wise way to do it if you're a musician, but was this the creative thing missing that made you want to do the Vicious Head Society, or was it an organic, or how was it come about?
No, the wedding thing was, I look at it as a very separate thing. You know, it's like a carpenter who goes to work and builds, you know, whatever, something very generic, and then goes home and with their, you know, on a lathe, they make something very ornate, like a beautiful piece of, you know, beautiful table or something.
Mm-hmm.
When I do a wedding gig, it's a job. It's like it's a 9 to 5, and I enjoy it. It's good fun. It's a good way to earn money.
Mm-hmm.
But I never even wanted to gig ever. Gigging was the last thing on my mind. I just wanted to play guitar and get better at it, to write songs. I didn't care about ever having a band that gigged. It was purely a creative pursuit for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always written music. I started playing guitar at 18, and even back then, really basic, heavy riffs. I was writing songs back then. I never recorded them, or they never went anywhere really. But it was just that pure joy or fun in trying to come up with something that sounded cool, you know. And I went to music school to get better at writing songs. It wasn't to have a career in music per se. That sort of happened itself, like with the teaching thing, and then becoming, a gigging musician. Those sort of things happen where people say to me, please, can you cover, my guitar player can't make it. Can you cover the gig for us? And I'd go, oh, okay, grand. And I do 1 or 2 gigs, and then I'd go back to not gigging for a while. And then I get an offer from another band to cover for a few months, and I do it. And then I joined a couple of bands long term. And I just, I fell into it really. And I do enjoy it. Like I said, it's there's things about it that are annoying, and sometimes you're playing music that you detest, but at the end of the day, you're making people happy. And if you're doing that with your work, then it's hard to feel too hard done by, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's better than going into some job with some dickhead that climbed a ladder by kissing arses telling you what to do, that has no idea what they're doing. It's been one of my biggest frustrations through life. Like, I could never play the game, man, and I'd be there looking at these managers, and I was looking at them, how the fuck did you get into this position? You're a moron. Like, I swear to God, at least when you're with the wedding band thing, you just go up, you play your few songs, and you get your few bob, and you go home, and then people say, "Oh, you were great, thanks very much," and there's a lot to be said for that, man.
That's it. Now some of those situations do have their own problems as well. There's guys with egos who think they're running, stadium bands with shit as well. So you do come across problems in it, but by and large, most of the people I've ever played for have been sound out. A couple of the bands really would, let you play. They let you do what they hire you to, because of the way you play. And they let you do what you want to do on the guitar. They know I'm not going to completely make a fucking shite of a gig. You understand what the job has to be. If you're playing country songs for people, you're not going to do fucking a death metal solo over it. But and there's but there's something to be said for that kind of stuff too when it comes to writing a song, because you're learning tunes that you wouldn't normally be interested in. But these are great tunes, even if metalheads might not be into them. Some of those tunes are written by amazing musicians and played by amazing musicians who are masters of what they were doing. So you can learn a lot from it, And I'm pretty sure that influence of learning what other people do on in their songs has made its way into what I'm doing now. Because generally the cover band stuff, a lot of it, it's the typical stuff you expect to hear: a Thunderstruck, Sweet Child of Mine, all of these songs that are played to death. But there are some of the cover bands as well that, do have some tunes every now and again that make you go, geez, that's really great, So, yeah, like you said yourself, there's a lot worse ways to earn a living. I'd rather be doing that than digging roads. I can tell you that much right now.
Like a good friend of mine, Will, he's in a wedding band. You might be familiar with them, Bumblebee Honey. Have you heard of them?
I haven't actually. No, I haven't come across them.
I haven't come across them, but he was here a few weeks ago, and he was just saying that Toto Africa is one of the most complex songs you could imagine to play, and it sounds so simple, like.
Yeah, that's a brilliant song. I've done that a few times in cover bands as well over the years. Great track.
But it's very, it's not straightforward at all, though.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it sounds
the chord progressions in there. Oh, I think we're frozen. No,
we're okay.
Oh, you're back.
So, Extinction Level Event.
The battle against the internet connection.
Oh, it's the same every time I try and do this, man. I'm waiting for the fucking ice cream van now to come as usual. But Extinction Level Event. What brought about the title?
The idea for this album was actually, I had the idea before Abject ever came out, and it just sort of it was something that just kind of came into my head that this would be a really cool idea to write with. Much like I have another idea now that I haven't really fleshed out, but you know when you hit upon something, you think, geez, this is going to be something I can really work with. You know, it could be something small, like I'm going to do the podcast like yourself here doing this. You know it's going to be a good idea. You have a good feeling about it, and that's kind of the idea came about from that. But I think it came about from, you know, when my wife was sick and all that kind of stuff, and you know, I mean, she's fine and all that kind of stuff, and you know, wasn't very serious. You know, when we found out when it was diagnosed and we got to the bottom of it. But in that interim period where you didn't know, we're waiting to find out what the hell is wrong. You're staring down the barrel of a gun. You know, well, I wasn't personally. I mean, emotionally I was, I suppose, but you know, she was in that scenario. Like, I don't know what they're going to tell me here. You know, they might tell me that I've got 3 weeks left. You know, so it just kind of came into my head that, you know, this would be an interesting thing to kind of explore. How would people react to finding out that they don't have long left? What would their life mean? What would my life mean? You know, are all the things that I've held onto, the kind of, you know, the grudges and that kind of stuff, are they justified or are they worth it? You know, or have I shown people in my life enough that I care about them enough, that I love them enough? You know, it sounds like sappy kind of stuff, you know.
Oh no.
And it's not very metal, I suppose, to talk about love and you know, I'm not talking about monsters and and so on and so forth. But to me, that's a heavier concept than anything I can think of. And I promise you, there's not a person, unless they're completely devoid of emotion and fucking sociopathic, that is not going to be a crumpled heap like I was when my wife got that news. So getting that news, you know, was a real trigger for this album. And then the story started kind of taking shape. And initially it was about one character, the song Judgment, actually. There's a character in that. He's a serial killer, and he's got a victim who he's killed. And he starts to kind of, as the world's going to end, you know, he starts to have a different perspective on things. He starts to actually feel, whereas before he was devoid of emotion. He starts to feel the regret of what he's done and the weight of what he's done. So he's begging this person he's killed to forgive him, but she's gone. You know, she can't even speak to him, obviously. So, you know, that's what the story was written around. And initially, the whole album was just a concept about him, you know, going through this sort of process of, you know, like a redemption. Now, obviously, there's no redemption for somebody who does those kind of things. So, but it was too difficult for me to write that. I found it very, very hard. And then I went through other kind of, you know, iterations where it was 7 different kind of personalities of one person who was, you know, what do you call it? Multiple personalities disorder. And again, I found that kind of too difficult to write because, you know, there would have to be references to hospital, probably treatment or whatever, to make it seem kind of, you know, logical. And then it just settled on the idea of, well, 7 different people encapsulating 7 different scenarios that probably everybody can relate to. And that made it much easier to write and much less, I suppose, it didn't have to have a resolution, which I like. I don't like to have things to be very obvious with lyrics or story. You know, that it can be open to interpretation, that people can put a little bit of what their own kind of interpretation in there, I suppose. So that's where it came from, really.
Yeah, it was dealing with that, as you say, and the whole, like as the old saying goes, at the end of the day, the only things you regret in life are the things you didn't do or whatnot. You know, it's like it's something for we all kind of. And then when the day comes, you know, you'll look back and you will question things. But yeah, in regards to your wife, you know, that was really rough. Like, and you've had a kid since as well, which is fantastic. Like, I know I shouldn't really be saying this on the interview.
No, that's cool.
Well, that was
it's
great.
All good,
like,
nothing
great like after being so close to the end, and next thing, new life breathing on it. And straight after Abject Tomorrow come out as well. Like, that was fucking cool, man.
Yeah, she did the treatment protocols and all that kind of stuff, and like I said, we were lucky insofar as that it wasn't a very serious type, and it was caught early.
Hmm.
But they said to her that the treatment would leave her sterile, so we'd never have any kids. We were like, well, we're cool with that. We have two.
Hmm.
It's all good, you know. And then one day I came home from work and she had a surprise for me, so to speak. And now we have a little girl as well.
It's a real happy fucking ending story, really, isn't it? You know, you don't hear too much of that anymore. It's all negativity in the world these days, like, so it's, and then didn't really affect your songwriting too much, you know. Extinction level events still came anyway, you know. It didn't stop you that much.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with the songwriting for it, the songs are written very early on. I mean, it probably, I'd say over a 6 to 8 month period, the songs were pretty much 100%, as in the structures of them, you know, the riffs and what way they were going to go. I did a few refinements over time, you know, but the songwriting is never really the problem for me. It's the other stuff around it, like money, time, you know, personnel, waiting for people that are, you know, they might have other things scheduled in their lives. You know, like for instance, with Clement, who's very, very fast to turn around drum tracks. You know, the man's got to work, you know, and he's got to earn money just like anybody. So, you know, he wouldn't, you know, he wouldn't prioritize any song over what I'm doing, because he's the kind of guy that when he's with you recording, he's like he's part of the band, you know. But you know, obviously if he gets paid work, it's got to be done before, you know, me promising that I'll pay him when the album's out, you know. So those are the kind of things that made it a longer process. And then I had this whole massive problem with my computer. You know, I couldn't actually record. My God, I mean, I'm surprised I'm still fucking half sane after that. It was absolutely, it drove me to the edge. I mean, I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. You know, when we moved into this new house, I had my wife plugging out everything, turning off plugs here and there. You know, I had an electrician come out here. He was going to wire in a temporary electric line direct from the socket board. You know, I was online I was like a mad scientist going to, I figured it out at last. And then I tried this new thing and it wouldn't work. Like, fuck. So, and I was, you know, I thought I'm never going to be able to get this done, until one night I was on a YouTube rabbit hole checking for, you know, people that had similar problems. And I found this company called iDefender, who make what's called a USB ground loop isolator. And that's what the problem was. All this noise was coming from the USB ports, traveling down the cable that powers the interface. Mm-hmm. So when I plugged my guitar into it, I was hearing the computer processing information over the guitar tracks. It's like, I can't fucking record with this.
Oh, I remember that, man. I remember you posting about that. That was going on for maybe 3 or at least 6 months, I think, was it?
Well, it was going on longer than that, actually. I only started posting about it. It was about a year, I think, of that going on. Yeah, just fucking hell. Now when I think about it. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, I swear, from that alone. Never mind anything else to do with recording music or anything like that. The frustration of doing a solo 20 times, you know. Yeah. But that in particular was, oh my fucking God. I'm so glad I never have to go through that again. Let me tell you, if anyone out there is watching this and they have a similar problem where their computer is causing noise in their recording, don't fuck around. Go on Amazon and buy yourself one of these things, iDefender Plus. You can even email the company a sample of the sound and they'll tell you what one you need, because there's different yokes you can buy.
All right.
Do it and save your fucking sanity.
Yeah, around that time I was like, will this album ever see the fucking light of day at all? Like, you know, it was just one thing after another, like.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you now, and I'm not kidding when I say this, there were several times I was hovering over the delete button. And, you know, only for my wife, it would never have happened. I'm convinced. Mm-hmm. She would, you know, stop. I mean, I get really down about it, or really, really upset, or really depressed. Because, you know, I just want to fucking release music. What the hell is going on here? Like, you start to feel like there's some cosmic force out there stopping this happening. You know? But, you know, it turned out to be just a ground loop. But, you know, she would step in. She's always very encouraging. And she doesn't put up with my bullshit. You know, that sometimes I really get, you know, really, really, what's the word? I can't think of the word, for it, but I get really down on myself, like really, really, I'm very, very hard on myself with this stuff, with music. And she just is no nonsense. She's like, just shut the fuck up, get in there, get the guitar out and start recording and stop. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Just get it done and get it out there. People are waiting for the music. All the people have recorded their parts and they're waiting for you now to put it out. Just do it. Yeah. And I'm just saying, I kind of feel bad about spending money on promo. And she's like, spend the fucking money on promo. What else are you going to spend it on? So, I mean,
just fuck off.
Obviously, she doesn't play the music. Yeah, exactly. she doesn't play the music or anything like that, but she's a real supportive driving force behind it. And it's really good to have that kind of, and I need that kind of person that's there to go, you just got to get this done. Mm-hmm. It just comes from from growing up, being told you're not going to amount to anything.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I'm very
that.
Especially very insecure in that way, very self-doubting at times, not all the time. There's times when I do something, I go, I think this is a really good song. I think this one is going to connect. And then other times I'm kind of up in the air with stuff and unsure what the hell is going to go on. Like I said, it's part of the process. I think I just accept it for what it is now. Mm-hmm. I don't try to fight against it, and I've been a lot better in that regard with this album. With the first album, I was an emotional wreck when it was out, and when it had been sent out for review with the PR campaign. I thought, I shouldn't have done this. I don't want to let it go. You're expecting the worst. But with this album, I was a bit more assured. I just had a good feeling about it, and I think that's why I didn't give up on it. I just felt the songs were strong. When I started getting mixes back off Mateus, I knew the production was a step up as well, and I worked really, really hard at my guitar playing. I did a lot of practice. I changed my technique around, like relearn things from scratch, and practice a shitload because I wanted to show that I could be better. You know what I mean? There was a hunger to prove something again, I suppose. But when it's, like I said, when it started to come together, and when I started to hear Nathan's vocals on it and the production, and I just felt a bit more reassured. And I'm not going to say now that I was 100% going, this is fantastic, it's fucking the best thing since sliced bread. I wasn't thinking on those, on that level, but I was a bit more assured. Quietly confident is probably the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, there was a different growler. There's two different growlers on the Abject Tomorrow album, wasn't there? That's one thing.
Yeah, Nathan.
What?
Yeah, Nathan did one song. He did all the vocals on Abject Tomorrow, and he did the growls as well. And then, as I said, he wasn't able to complete the album. And then Wilmer took it over, and he did the vocals and the growls in that. Oh. But I didn't want that for this album. I just felt it was too much pressure on one person to kind of expect them to do everything, So I felt it would be better to get a new growler and let Nathan handle the clean vocals, because then I think you've got a bit more contrast as well. And I was searching up people, I was going through stuff on YouTube. You kind of make your wish list of who would be the best person to have. And I've always been a huge fan of David Vincent from Morbid Angel. I really like the way he's very authoritative when he growls, and the pronunciation is really clear. So that's, for me, I was like, I'd love to have somebody that's like that, but obviously that doesn't ask me for 10 grand. So I was just kind of watching some stuff on YouTube, and then a song from Overoth came up, and it was one of their newer ones actually. I can't remember the name of it, but the video is really, really class. It's them sort of in a barn, and there's a dude getting stabbed in the stomach with a pitchfork or something. I know. And Andy kind of sounded to me a little bit like David Vincent. Mm-hmm. Have we frozen?
No, right.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're fine. I can hear you.
Okay, we're good. Andy sounded a bit like David Vincent to me. Mm-hmm. Insofar as his pronunciation was really, really good, and you can make out what he's saying. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd shoot him a message and see what happens. And he was happy to be on board, which was fucking great for me. I was delighted to hear it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where the idea to have somebody else came from. I just wanted to have a bit more, bit more character, I suppose. I don't mean that as in better or worse or anything like that. Just somebody different who could bring something else to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never met Andy myself, but he seems like a sound lad, to be honest. Like, he seems to be a cool guy that just likes his death metal, and just something like this probably was up right up his alleyway because it was so different from anything he'd done before.
Yeah, for sure. And I just told him, kind of do it your way. I don't want you to be anything but what you do. I wasn't saying to him, can you do this, or can you try and do this or that, or I asked him because I like the way he is with Overoth, and I just wanted him to kind of replicate that really for me, which is what he did. There's probably a bit less growling on this album than the first, but I felt that would be better as well to use it where it just needs to be used, as a story device rather than just let's put growls here. So a little bit more thought went into it that way. And as you said, he's a really, really cool guy and really cool to work with as well. You send him off the guide tracks, let him do his thing, and he'll come back and he'll give you more than you asked for. He'll put in extra layers of stuff and so on. So I mean, couldn't ask for any better than that. Someone that gives you more than you expect. Perfect.
Yeah, it works better as well for this album because even though it wasn't a massive issue, like the fact that a couple of songs sounded different with different growlers, it kind of did slightly break the flow of the first album ever so slightly. But it was minor. But when you're going on for the second album, you want it to be just the whole way through, straight line, consistently,
Can you say the last bit again? It went up a bit jumbled for me there.
Oh, that's all right. I was just saying about when there was two different vocalists as such on the first album. At least with this one now, we've got the same vocalists the whole way through. It just kind of has more consistency to the whole process, like.
Absolutely, and one of I had a list of things that I didn't want to happen on this album, and one of them was not to have two vocalists. And I mean, I know I've got a different growler, but not two different people singing. And also, we had two different drummers on the first album, and I didn't want that kind of thing to happen again. Yeah. That happened because I ran out of money, really. Clement did 2 songs. He stepped in and did an amazing job. Now, you probably wouldn't notice too much unless you really went digging, But the album, and not just that, there was other things as well. Like, I was very, very naive to recording as well. I think I used probably 5 or 6 different amps on the first album, where this time I wanted way more concise guitar parts across all the songs. So we've got clean sounds that keep recurring through the album. The heavy sound is the same all the time, and the lead sound is the same all the time. Whereas when you have a device like a Kemper or something like that, you think, I can use 100 different amps, but that's not a good thing. It creates kind of like the impression that the songs are from different albums almost. So, I'm proud of the first album. I have to say, it's hard for me to listen to it because I hear the faults like that. And I think, I wish I'd done that better, or I wish I was a bit more, that I was a bit more concise in some parts or whatever, because all the songs are very long on it. But it's a product of what it is. The time I was going through, it was a very emotional album to make because it was in the middle of when my wife was going through treatment. And I just didn't want to compromise. I thought, this is what it's going to be. I'm going to put out exactly as it is. This is how I am. So this is how the album's going to be. And I just let it go out into the world like that, warts and all.
But it got a great reception though. Like, I still have the T-shirt to this day. Still repping it. I'm looking forward to my new T-shirt whenever it arrives.
But they'll be here tomorrow, so I'll be posting them out tomorrow at some point.
A bit of a problem with the printers. That's all right. It's fine. I'm happy to wait once I can. Once I have the digital version, that's good enough for me, man. But I'll keep my little box set. I won't open that. I'll keep it closed. I'll have it little there. But I got a few T-shirts off you as well, so I'll be all right.
I think you got a year's supply of shirts.
I think I bought 4 of them in the end. I was just like, I fucking love this design so much. I was just like, I have to buy a few of these. And I said it to you in the message, man. I haven't bought fuck all clothes in like a year and a half anyway with this lockdown stuff. So might as well get a few new T-shirts. I'll get them all the same. But sure, what the hell? I live in these combat shorts anyway, so there's no point in keep it simple.
Metalheads, we do that.
Remember the, of course, you remember the
But
film The
yeah,
Fly.
the album cover design was a one and done job.
Yeah. I
Say again, sorry.
was just saying, you remember the film The Fly with Jeff Goldblum?
Yes.
You went to the scene where he opens his wardrobe and all his clothes are identically the same. Like,
Yeah.
that's basically my motto with the shorts and the t-shirts.
Absolutely
Like,
metal.
don't have to think.
Metal fans are just like that. I'm the same. My wardrobe's full of t-shirts from bands over the years, and like this one I have on me, I got in a charity shop for about €2 about 10 years ago, and I still fucking wear it.
Yeah.
If it was up to my wife, they'd all be in the bin. Well, she wouldn't throw out the metal shirts, to be fair. But yeah, the album cover was a one and done job as well. I got in contact with a guy who's posting his artwork in different music forums on Facebook, and I really loved his work. And I just said, here's the album title. Show me what you got. And he came back with that, and I said, perfect. That's it. No need to make any changes. Done.
Yeah.
Paid him his money, and actually, I had the album cover done about 2 months into the process. That was like I've had it for about 4 years, basically.
Jesus.
I've been sitting on that design. So like I said, I had a very strong vision of what the album was going to be, from way back. And for me, that works best when I'm writing music, because I like to have a brief. This is what the album's going to be about. Here's the kind of sound I'm going for. Here's what the story is. So when the songs are written, they're written for a character, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope so. So like the song Judgment is a very, very heavy song, very dark lyrically. It's written for that serial killer character.
Yeah, it seems somebody took exception to your album cover today, I seen.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy obviously hasn't been exposed to much media if that's upsetting him.
Fucking hell, he's never watched The Simpsons, like, you maniacs, you maniacs. Like, what the hell, like.
We're frozen again, I think.
No, it's all right, my end.
No doubt there's somebody online in the other room here or something like that. It's dragging my connection down. We're back now, though.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying, like, he's clearly never seen The Simpsons or Planet of the Apes or anything like that, anyway.
But I mean, to get upset over something like that is just fucking bizarre to me. I mean, it's just an album cover from an unknown band.
Oh, well, it's obviously a good sign people are finding out about it.
But it takes all sorts, The world is full of very strange characters.
I sure will. Knock on a bit of a track here anyway before we let people have a bit of a listen to you anyway. Let me see, get it up for you. Yeah, man. Fucking great song, man.
Thanks. Cheers.
Yeah, I swear to God, man, you had balls of fucking steel opening the album with a 10-minute instrumental, like.
There's this funny story behind that as well, because that song was not going to be on the album.
Yeah.
And I toyed with the idea of doing a bonus track and putting that as it,
Mhm.
But I sent it off to a friend. Keith McCoy. He's got some new
Yeah, yeah.
music out too. Himself and his wife. I have a few people that I've sent stuff to, to gauge their reaction. And his wife said, "Oh, is this what you're opening the album with?" And I went, "No, I don't even know if it's going to be on the album. I don't think it is." She's like, "You have to put this on the album, and you have to open with it.
Yeah.
Like, don't fuck around, just do it." So I kind of listened to it a few times more. I said, "Well, I felt it was a good, strong song, and there's good playing on it, and
Mhm.
the writing I thought was good. And even though it's an instrumental, I don't think it's too indulgent. It's not fucking fast all the time, and it's quite melodic. And I felt there's probably something to it. So I said, fuck it. If I'm going to do it, let's do it.
Yeah.
People want the prog album, they're going to get one. So here's a 10-minute instrumental to open the album. And also, it was initially like an overture. It was going to be a double album at one time. I have a lot more music written for this album that I didn't use. There's another instrumental. There's a 20-minute song that didn't get recorded. Yeah, it's a really long, really, really interesting song as well. I might reuse it for something else. I'm not sure. And there's a couple of other really, really super heavy ones as well. One very, very leaning towards the death metal side. That was going to be mostly growling as well. But again, the story was getting overcomplicated, and I was wary of the last album being really long, nearly like an hour and 15 minutes.
Mhm.
And I decided, early enough on that it would be better to be a bit more concise in places and not noodle too much and have everything be noodly.
Mhm.
So that's why those songs didn't really make it. It wasn't that they weren't good songs or I didn't like them.
Mhm.
They could have very well made it, but it just so happens that the ones I picked told the story better and kind of flowed together better.
Mhm.
So if you listen to the instrumental Extinction Level Event, and that first thing you hear, that melody at the beginning, that's a melody that was going to repeat, and it does repeat in the other songs quite a bit, like a thematic thing in the album. But yeah, like I said, it did change, so it is what it is now.
Yeah, I don't think a real death metal song would really have fit the album, to be honest with you, because as a body of work, it's perfect as it is. Like, I think if you just threw in a really heavy track for the sake of it, it'd break the flow. I don't know. I don't think it would fit. Like it's
Yeah, and that's why it didn't make it.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's a song I actually really like, and maybe I'll do it as a a bit of fun down the line. Maybe a couple of months' time, I'll ask the lads if they're interested in recording it. It's got some really great riffs in it that I was super, like when I'm writing, it takes a lot for me to be very happy with what I'm doing.
Mhm.
But if I like the riff, I think, okay, there's something here for this one for sure. And when I was writing that particular song, there was a lot coming out that I was going, this is fucking cool.
Mhm.
I think people are going to really like it. But like you say, it's not just about putting a song on an album and going here, not for me anyway, at least.
Mhm.
I want the songs to fit. And there was an idea and a sort of without sounding too pretentious, it's going to sound that way no matter what way I do it. But this is only for me. I'm not telling people that I'm directing a movie or anything like that.
Mhm.
But for me, it's got to sit in the universe that it's created for it, if you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So that the songs have a presence and they sit together and they feel like they belong from the same period of time.
Mhm.
So like what you say there, it would have broken the flow of things. So that's why it really didn't get used. Not because I didn't feel it was up to the task or anything like that.
Mhm. Yeah, look, when you've got so much music left over, like, do you think that any of it will make it onto album three, or will you go in a different direction with album three? Or
It's possible. I mean, I've already started writing new stuff, and I've a lot of new stuff written as well as those songs that didn't get used.
Mhm.
I do have an idea to do a completely different project that's not really metal at all. I've been looking into doing some orchestral stuff
Mhm.
over the last while, and there's a little bit of that influence on the new album
Mhm.
here and there. There's kind of parts that are a little bit orchestral, but in this new thing that I'm thinking of doing, it'd be completely orchestral with very little guitar or drums in it at all.
Mhm.
So that's just another idea that I might just do something very different for maybe a year and just put up some stuff, not really in a serious way,
Hmm.
just to put out something, just to keep the kind of the interest there, because
Yeah.
I don't want to repeat the same thing all the time. If I do another album with Vicious Head stuff, it'll be hopefully it'll be different. I would hate, for this album, next album, if I do want to be kind of, oh, that's just, a repeat of what you did already.
Hmm.
You know, I think it's got to evolve a bit or something. There's got to be something new there. But I'm very, very excited about the orchestral thing. It's a new challenge, and I'm trying to kind of grow and learn more about composition all the time. I think I spend more of my time doing that now, like dissecting songs that I love or pieces of music that I love and seeing what it is about them that makes them what I think them to be really great or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of what's on the horizon, I suppose. Like I said, I do have a concept idea for a third album, and probably enough songs to start it now. But I'm going to wait a little bit and see, what else comes out.
And you have spent a lot of years in the Vicious Head Society headspace as such, haven't you? You have a
For
long time.
sure, it's very time consuming, and with a little daughter, I don't have a ton of time as much as I would have had before. So it's kind of squeezing in those few hours, here and there. And to be honest, anyway, most of the writing I do is not with the guitar. So I don't come in here and write music. I get ideas when I'm not around the guitar, and then I come in and figure out what was in my head, and then quickly, jot down or a little quick demo. So yeah, it's an interesting process. I'm not sick of doing Vicious Head Society stuff or anything like that, but I just want to try something else that's a bit different and see where that can lead to, and see if people dig it. It might be fun to do that for maybe just a few songs and see. And I have a name for that project as well, which I'm not ready to give out yet, but I will do soon. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, but it's just for something that might benefit you in the long run. Just do something different for a while, and then when you jump back in again, it might be a bit more fresh. You might be just.
Yeah, and I think a bit of space between things as well. You're changing as a person. So new ideas, new life events, new influences are going to come in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So and all of my stuff is written from life things, and they come like they're on the surface of the new album. It's a very fantastical story about the end of the world and so on and so forth. But the stories within them are personal things to me that I've kind of written, as a fictional story, and with archetypal characters that are sort of extremes. Like, obviously, I'm not a serial killer, but if I've harmed people in my life, I've done damage to them, either emotionally or, you could have punched someone or whatever, when you take that to an extreme level when you're writing a song, because, again, like the thing that, Andy talked about, if you put up the kind of the okay guitar player from Clare, Ireland, people are going to say, well, this guy's just okay, I'm not going to listen to him. You have to put up an extreme version. So when you're writing a song, an extreme version of somebody that's harmed people, that's the furthest I can think of is somebody who's killed people, and who enjoy doing it and is unaware of the consequences of their action. But, behind that story, there's, I'm exploring that for myself, and I'm hoping that, somebody else might kind of see that, in themselves. They might look at it and go, Jesus, maybe I should, examine the way I am with people or whatever. It might not, and it doesn't have to be that way for anybody. People can take what they want out of it. Like I said before, all of this stuff is for me. It's written for me to expunge or to explore things or to talk about my own demons, so to speak. It's not really, I'm not pushing any beliefs on anybody or any of that kind of nonsense. I totally disagree with doing that at all. And maybe the people out there think the idea of that is kind of stupid or silly, and that's fine as well. It's really, like I said, just it's my own little kind of world, I suppose.
Well, save you paying a lot of money to a therapist, just write an album instead, like.
Well, I think I will need one after the fucking computer noise as well. So the therapist is going to make money either way. There's no winning in that regard.
That's where the death metal song came from, yeah.
Jeez, I think so.
Anyways, man, Sure, we'll leave it at that for there now. So, the
Cool.
album is an Extinction Level event, and it's out now on Hostile Media Records. Yeah,
That's right.
and you have T-shirts and physical CDs at the moment. Yeah,
That's all we have left. T-shirts, CDs, and they can grab it on Bandcamp as well.
yeah.
If people can't buy, which obviously a lot of people out of work or have had a very tough year that's been,
Oh yeah,
even if they just like the page or share it, I'm happy with that, or just follow on Spotify. It's not all about spending money. And some of the followers out there messaged me and said, I'd love to buy the box set. I just don't have the money right now. And I'm saying, don't worry about it. Just share, post. Tell your friend about a song who might like it. It's not all about money. It's about trying to pull people in, I suppose.
mm-hmm. And if they want to be really nice, they can just get on Spotify and just put it on repeat and just keep putting it on repeat, 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 repeat. Keep them numbers going up.
Forever ad infinitum, and they can send me a big royalty check for 20 grand, and then there'll be loads of albums.
Yes, that would be great, wouldn't it? Fucking hell, you'd be able to make a few more
That would be
albums
the
out of
dream.
that anyway.
That would be the dream for sure. Like the hardest thing about this was taking that risk. Will I sell enough to cover? And thankfully I did. And thankfully I did early enough on. Stuff went quick, and I was able to give the lads their few quid, and then kind of go, okay, I've done what I set out to do. Anything from here is a bonus, and here we are. Everything has been a bonus.
Talking to you one night on Messenger, like in the run up, and you weren't very positive. Let's just put it that way about the whole thing. You were kind of like a bit fucking, oh no, am I going to be able to pay for this? Like shit,
There's always that risk. It's like the top of the roller coaster. You think you're very excited, and then when it's just about to go over the edge, you realize you've no control over what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you got to just hope that people are going to connect with it. Yeah. But, that's, again, like I was talking about, that's my foibles. That's me, projecting, and it's my insecurity from the past and so on coming out. It's always, thankfully, not a reflection of reality, which is great. I'm very, very lucky, very, very grateful. Like I said, anybody who put their hand in their pocket, and beyond that went onto YouTube, watched the video, and clicked the like button. I'm as appreciative of that. Obviously, it's great to make money off it, but those small things make a huge difference, and people don't realize it. So any bands or anyone that's watching this, that's into a band, and go like their stuff, just share it. It costs nothing. Just hit the share button, tag a friend, and say, hey, you might like this song. This is a new band. There's this young guy who shared a thing from earlier, that black metal project.
Oh, Thomas,
15 years old.
Fucking hell, man!
If that dude gets the encouragement now and the support of people in the metal community and beyond, he's going to develop into something. I don't, like I said, I don't know black metal very well. I don't listen to it very much, so I can't comment on the quality of it. But everyone tells me it's really, really good stuff, and I liked what I heard. So if people can get behind that guy, encourage him by picking up a tape, liking and sharing posts. It makes a big difference, and every band in this country needs that. I'm so sick of seeing people sharing fucking Thin Lizzy songs. Thin Lizzy don't need promotion anymore. They've done what they've done. They're great. We all know they're legends. The people who need the promotion are bands like that guy who's coming up, and he starting off, and he needs people there. I'm ranting. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you completely, man. But he, like a lot of the Irish metal community, have really taken him under their wing now. Like
that's awesome.
And Carl Woe and King's Woe's Court apparently is going to go on that, and he's part of the Alicary All Ireland Metal Project, and Dara from Horrenda and Autis, and they're kind of helping him now. And people have kind of realized that this kids like this now, the gatekeeping mentality of the Metal Ireland bullshit is all gone now, and they're like, got a 15-year-old kid here now. He's already in 2 other bands. Like, these kids now, they are the future. Like, if you go the old way about what are you doing writing music and like them wankers, like what they used to be like. people are actually encouraging, which is fucking great to see, man. And long may it continue. Like, and hopefully more kids start coming along now and just really, really start building for the next generation.
Yeah, and all the other bands as well. I see a lot of time. I admittedly, like I said earlier, I don't engage as much as I should. I'm not really. I don't listen to a ton of metal, to be honest. But what I do here is really good quality, and I see there's really good support. And it definitely has changed. I think you're absolutely right on that one. It'd be great to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's to see a young lad come along, like you said there, and create something that's way beyond his years in maturity is phenomenal.
Oh, it's great to see. It's great to see. Anyways, man, is there anything else I was going to say? Oh, yeah, there was one thing I wanted to say before I finish. We got to give a shout out to all the musicians on the album, man. They all done it for free, like, and well, they didn't do it for free, like, but they did
Fuck
it
yeah,
on the basis that you don't have to pay until you get the album out, like.
yeah.
That was fucking cool
So,
of all them, like, to do really just throw all caution to the wind and say, yeah, we're with you on this, man, and if you get money, pay us, like, like.
yeah, Clement was refusing to take money at one point, the drummer. And then Nahwell, who played some solos as well, was refusing to take money. Nathan didn't really want anything, but I was like, I can't do that. You have to take some fucking money for work. It's work, and they put a lot into it. And then Matthias, the guy who mixed and mastered it, he was recommended by one of the prog pages. Rob from Progressive Music Planet tagged him in a post, and he agreed to the same thing. I'll do it. Don't worry about it until it's out. But thankfully we all kind of got to know each other as the process went on, and it wasn't just a professional hands-off kind of situation where you get 2 revisions and that's it. We became kind of close and friendly, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, because it's reached a lot of people and it's picking up a lot of steam, it'll benefit them in other ways.
Yeah.
They might not have made a fortune off what I paid them or anything like that, but they'll probably get a lot of work, I hope anyway, like session work, off other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of big promo on the way as well, stuff that I haven't talked about yet that's going to be happening over the next little while.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's always a possibility of us doing a gig,
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody that I've been in touch with who's a part of a very big festival, who's on the committee, the what's the word, the curator committee for that festival.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say anything because it might never happen and this could look really stupid or anything like that, but it could happen, and
really?
Who knows? Yeah, well, before I was very much no way, it's not going to happen.
You're always very fucking gung-ho, I'm not doing this, like.
Yeah, absolutely I was, but things change, and I think if it's possible under the right circumstances, it could happen.
Jesus.
Yeah, you never know. We'll see. Like I'm open to the possibility.
Really?
I'm talking way fucking too much. If you let me here, we'll be talking for 3 hours of this. I've noticed this when I started doing the song analysis videos. I'm terrified of fucking cameras, but for some reason, when I get in front of them, I'm able to talk.
But you're not dedicating. You're not dedicating to anything here, man. You're just saying it could possibly be in the realms.
It could possibly, with under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
It could happen. Clement is mad for it to happen. What was that? Sorry?
I said, colour me interested. I'll be going to that fucking festival if you're playing it, man. I want to see this shit live.
Cool. Well, we'll see what happens. Like I said, nothing is off the table. If there was an opportunity and it was the right opportunity, then it could happen.
Oh, fantastic. Sure, on that note, man, we'll leave it at that, and we'll leave it on a to be continued, maybe. Who knows? We can never know.
For sure.
All right, man.
I just want to say as well. Just want to say before we go as well. Massive thanks to you for all the support, the shares, the likes, comments. I really, really appreciate it beyond words. It means people don't realize how much that means. Anybody who gets on the page and likes and shares stuff or comments, I really appreciate it. And you've been doing that for a long time. So massive, massive thanks.
Oh, no,
it's very, very important.
Well,
so again,
you're always releasing good stuff, man. So Somebody's got to help you anyway. Like, and thankfully more are coming along now too, which is always encouraging. And getting loads more reviews on this album, and getting great reviews as well too, which is fucking great to see, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, who knows, man? You might be getting a few new guitars yet, you know.
Fuck! Don't tell anyone.
Exactly. All right, man. Nice one, 100%.
Nice one. Great to talk to you. Take care.